Hi there, it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm getting into the new Wayne Goss eyeshadow palette. This is Smoky Quartz. Very interesting colors. This is called a cool tone palette, but I feel like some of these could be described as more neutral and even slightly warm. But it is a pretty smoky palette, at least from the swatches. So we're gonna get into it today. I'm gonna do a whole look with this palette. Details of this Smoky Quartz palette. Wayne Goss has come out with a few of these palettes now. I have 2 of them already, but this is the 3rd one in my collection now. And I was mostly intrigued because this is a cooler tone palette and I'm always looking for more of those. The thing with this palette, I would say that most of these are pretty much matte. This has maybe a slight satin sheen, but otherwise the rest of these are matte, and this is like a special celestial shade. The other palettes I have definitely more of a shimmery formula in the rest of this, but for some reason this palette doesn't, and that does bother me a little bit. Also, the fact that this shade is super white, I do not find these kinds of really light shades useful because they absolutely disappear on me. But I understand if you want to make any of these shades lighter, you can mix. I just don't really do that in my day-to-day makeup. So that's my thoughts so far on the palette. Haven't tried it out yet. Obviously you can see the 6 shades, large pan size, beautiful mirror. This is standard packaging for Wayne Goss's eyeshadow palette. This is the box shiny packaging. Beautay shipped to me very quickly. I ordered and I received it the next day. So awesome. And so let's go ahead and show you the swatches of this palette. And you guys can see that this is a deeper palette, which is exciting. I think it's an interesting time to release it in the middle of summer. I don't know that people are necessarily going towards cooler smoky looks, but hey, it will be fine at other parts of the year. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the swatches of the other 2 palettes I have, which are Imperial Topaz, which is his first palette, which is very warm and different textures in this one. And then the next palette I have is Pearl, which came out last summer and was considered kind of a wedding day palette. Also different textures in here, different tones. You kind of have neutrally pink shades plus a cooler one here. I think people are making a lot of similar comparisons to his purple tourmaline palette, which I don't have. I could definitely see that. So anyway, let's get into this one here. Let's create a smoky look. Let's see what we come up with. So just for funsies, I am going to start out with this lightest shade here, number 1. Just to see if it does anything. I'll put it on the brow bone. Maybe we'll just kind of even out my lid tone and kind of get rid of some redness a little bit. As you can see, it doesn't really show up too much, but you know, that's what you get with these kinds of shades. I know if you have a darker skin tone, this does a lot more. So I know not every shade can really be for everybody. Okay, so that's that one. Just kind of all over the lid. Taking the number 2, I believe right here, this, you know, neutrally matte brown. I think what you have to realize about Wayne's palettes is these colors are not groundbreaking, but I can honestly, as a makeup artist, if I were a makeup artist, I could see wanting to have these big pans and classic colors in my collection. They're small, travel friendly, just bring in a bunch of stacks with you. You could make this work for a lot of people. And I think that's the beauty of it. He uses a lot of matte tones and not super shimmery, sparkly, besides the celestial, that work for a lot of different age groups. So I know why I like the palettes, but some people just don't get it. These are expensive for how many shades you get. But I mean, if you find a, you know, a lot of people also say like his palettes are hit and miss. I don't know that I agree with that. I just think that, you know, not every shade is going to work for everybody. But, you know, like this shade, not super exciting, but it's going to add to the look. It's going to add a layer to the rest of the look. And these are smooth. They don't feel like amazingly buttery. They are smooth and soft, but they blend well in the eye. So that's that. We're gonna go into the next brown shade. Deepen this up a little bit more. Now this one looks a little bit more red. Clean off my brush a little bit. Actually, no, it's not super red. It's just a different kind of a brown. I like the color of this. This shade is a nice one. That's a good one. I like this brown. It's got a good tone to it. All right, so those two colors on their own, I mean, this is a very pretty neutral eye. All right, so we have the next two deepest shades here. I want to be able to use both. So I'm going to use a smaller brush just because I don't want it to get too blown out. I'm going to start with this gray graphite-y kind of a shade. I think there's somewhat of a sheen to it. It's hard to tell. Ooh, that's an interesting. It's like a gray, charcoaly something or other. Definitely smoky. That's a good, I think this is a good option to have in anyone's collection if you just want something more sultry. This is almost like duplicating a black eyeliner just kind of blended out. That's what this reminds me of. So easy smoke without having to blend out an eyeliner. And because it's more of a slight satiny, I think, not super matte, I think that helps with blending. But yeah, this is like a sooty charcoal smoke, almost like a lead pencil. That is pretty. I just kind of want to keep going with it. But I'm going to move on to this matte purple here. So I like that you have a couple smoky options. Like you don't have this like just this kind of grayish graphite shade. You can just create smoke with purple too. Or you can also create smoke with just the purple. So you don't have to use all these shades, but I am making a mess. Look at me. Time for blending. Woo! Creating a black eye here. So this is definitely a smoky look and definitely, you know, create some drama for nighttime or daytime, but definitely appropriate for night, in the shadows. This can be a little bit stark with a light skin tone during the day. But you know, it just depends, you know, on your whole look and what you're rocking. If you're wearing a bright yellow sundress, it might be a little bit off, but there's a little bit of fallout with this guy. Nothing you can't brush away. I could see a big lash with this look. Are you guys loving this? Are you like, oh, I look like a zombie? I think I need a little bit of concealer to brighten up under here because some of that color kind of came down a little too far. Okay, I think that concealer cleaned things up a little bit. We looked a little bit more put together now. I still need to use this beautiful Celestial shade. So I'm gonna take my finger and go in here. So I'm not like a huge fan of big glitter chunks, but there's something about this formula that it's just pretty, you know, it's just a little different. That definitely sets things off, makes it a little bit more my style and a little bit more glam. I like that. I like this. This celestial is pretty. It just looks like stars in the sky against this smoky backdrop. All right, so I'm going to put on one of Wayne's eyeliners. I did not get the new graphite one because I already have a lot of eyeliners that I'm not using, and it looked very similar to black to me, so I don't know that the nuance would really be appreciated. I think a grayish eyeliner would be appropriate with this look, but I'm going to use a brown. So this is the Essential Eye Kohl in Precious Opal. This is like a somewhat slightly shimmery bronzy brown, and I'm going to use this as my eyeliner. And I really like Wayne's eyeliners. They're reasonably priced at $14, and they're good. They are Kohl though, so they do move a little bit. You know, you can blend them easily. Some people don't like that, but that's essentially what a Kohl eyeliner is. All right, so I'm gonna throw on some mascara, finish off the lips, and I'll show you the final look. Here is the final look. I hope you can see the smile on my face because I love it. I like the end result. A little bit scary in between there because these kinds of colors can make you look a little bit bruised, tired, garish, but at the end of the day, the end result I think is really glamorous and beautiful, and these colors work really well together, even on a fair skin tone. Now, I know for me, I'm not going to reach for this palette super often because this is a very makeup-y eye look, and that like you look like you're wearing makeup, and I know I wear a lot of makeup that looks like that, but to me, because this is a smokier, darker tones than I normally go for, to me this is more of a specific time of day that I would wear this, more in the nighttime, more of a romantic look. If I was going to a nighttime wedding, this would be something I would want to pull out. Very glam, maybe a more of a fall special occasion where I'm wearing like a jewel tone dress or a deeper colored dress. I think this would be perfect. Probably something I'm not going to use too much this summer, but definitely this reminds me of fall. And I like the tones in here. I think Wayne did a really good job of picking out tones that go really well together. I used every color in the palette and I'm loving it. What do you guys think? I think it's a lot of makeup, but the eyeliner also really helps to kind of add to that smokiness. And I love the shimmer. I love the celestial. I think if I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't love this makeup as much, but it really just lightened things up. It catches the light. It doesn't just make you a dark matte hole on your eye. I like the contrast and textures for sure. But let me know what you think of this palette. Do you plan on picking it up? Are you gonna skip it? I think, you know, Wayne's palettes do sell out. So if you don't pick it up now, I'm sure you're going to be able to pick it up in the future. I just don't know when. I will say there's some shades I mentioned before that I think are just okay, and there are some standouts to me. I say these two you probably have in your collection and you don't really need from this palette. These are more unique, and which make this palette worth it. And you probably are thinking, and you're right to think this, that every shade you should love. When you buy a palette, every shade should be outstanding, but to be honest, that never happens for me in a palette. I'm always gonna have my favorites and ones that I don't like. But 4 out of 6 ain't bad. I would prefer it to be 6 out of 6, but honestly, that's just how things work. Palettes are meant for a lot of people. They're not individually created for you, and this shade just doesn't show up on me. It's fine, it's whatever. I like the look at the end of the day. And if you guys are curious about the lipstick color I use, this is from Wayne Goss. This is Iris, the luxury cream lipstick, and it goes great with this palette. I don't know about the Tourmaline palette. It does look similar to this, but these shades are pretty. Let me quickly show you my other palettes and things that I would have probably preferred. I know smoky looks are often very matte, but I would have preferred this kind of shade in there, even if it was darker. Even like we got another one of these shades, which I'm like, why, if you're not gonna do another black, why are you doing another light shade? Yeah, something like this, also from his first Imperial Topaz palette. The lightest shade is a very high shine satin. Would have preferred that over a light matte color. This one also nice shimmery, and so is this. This is like a satin. More satin, please. I'm not a fan of like all mattes in a palette. That's kind of what we got. But I do like the Celestial in this palette. It is really pretty. So overall thoughts, I do like it. I do recommend. I think if you do a lot of smoky looks or you want to do more, this is a good palette to do that with. If you guys plan to pick up this palette, please comment below. If you like this video, click the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.